Hello and welcome in this quick start video concerning Universal Pose Splitter, and this part concerns human figures. The goal of Universal Pose Splitter is to split poses of any figure with the exact split you want. Pose Splitter will also work with timeline animations. You have to select your figure, and when you open Pose Splitter, you can here choose your destination folder for the poses. For this, you use Browse to another folder and you browse to another folder. Okay. And the choice you made will be remembered for your next sessions. At the bottom of your interface, you can decide whether you want to save the current frame if you have an animation, or here it will be the current frame, other frame numbers. So you can choose, if you have a timeline animation, which frames you want to save, or an animation within a given animation range. In my case, I want to save the current pose. And the question is, what bounds and what pose controls for the root or properties for the roots do I want to save? Here is the box concerning the bounds. So you have selection and helpers for this box, which allow you to select all, meaning all the bounds, all the pose controls, okay? Unselect all, select only the lower body, add to selection the lower body, or select, if you unselect all, select only the upper body. You can invert to selection, okay? And the selection that you made can be set as default for the next sessions. And better than setting them as default, you can create full configuration files here, okay, which allow you to reload exactly what you want in the interface. So you can save your bound selection, you can save anything in the interface and reload them later on. So let's take an example. I want to save the trunk, okay, and the head, neck of this figure. So I'm going to select upper body, okay, but I don't want the arms. I don't want the eyes. I don't want the head pose controls. I'm gonna keep the bones and the sub-bones of the head. So here I also remove the hands, okay. I keep the neck, sorry, and I remove the expression. So here I have made a selection. Oh, I don't want the arms, sorry. I have made the selections for the trunk. I can go in save whole configuration in the text files, and I'm gonna call this human trunk and head. Okay, I guess the neck is included in this case. So let's say that I close my interface and I start from a very different configuration. I go in reload configuration and reload human trunk and head, and here I have what I had selected, the human trunk and head. This way you can create plenty of configuration files and reload them later on and save a maximum of time. Now let's save this pose. I want to save also the translations of the bones. I am used to do it, but it's not necessary. I can set these properties to be set as default and reset the original configuration, which is this one, you see. Reset original configuration. I have to give a name to the file, no need to write the .duf at the end. So let's call this pose 3. Okay, I am in human upper. I'm gonna indicate no arms because I might be surprised otherwise not to see the arms posed later on when I don't remember what I made. And I click on save pose with current options and the pose is saved. Okay. And let's say that I want, okay, the pose is saved. It takes just a little bit of time to process the thumb for the pose because I'm recording the video in the same time. I click on select upper body. This time I have all the upper body, and I'm gonna call this pose 3 full because I am in upper. I can call this full upper, for instance, and click on save pose. Okay. I could unselect all, okay, and select lower body. I could here call this lower and save in the same location, But for a matter of organization, that's what I saw, making a lot of split poses, it's better to organize them in other folders. So I'm gonna select lower, but you could save it in the same folder, it's not a problem. And I click on save pose, so I have the lower pose. If I want to keep only my hands, for instance, I'm gonna click on unselect all, right hand. Do I want the hand pose controls? No, obviously it doesn't use pose controls, so I'm not gonna to check this, but I could, okay? And I'm gonna browse to another folder just to be organized. And this will be the hands of pose 3. Okay, if I want only the right one, I'm gonna uncheck the left one. Okay, just time to process the sum. And I'm gonna write pose 3 right hand. Okay, so this way you can really save partial poses very easily. But the big interest is to be able to batch all this. So for the batch process, the principle is the same. I have to define what bones I want to save. Okay. I'm going to reload the configuration. Upper body without pose controls, lower body, Genesis 8 lower body, for instance, okay? So here I have the lower body for Genesis 8, and I can select which files I want to process. I'm gonna set this as default because I'm going to close my interface to show you something. Here I can add a list of files, so I can, you see, browse and select a few files. All right. Okay, I'm gonna save this configuration for now. I'm gonna call this temp because it's just to reload. I'm gonna close this interface and I'm gonna show you how to go to the right content folder you want. So I go to the smart content, all right, and go in poses, filter by context, remove the filter, sorry. And I'm gonna take, I like ICO poses. I think I have some. Yeah, this is a very nice set, okay? So how could I add these files to the list? What I'm gonna do is go to browse to file location, and in my browser, I select this, I make copy, okay? Right click copy, oh sorry, copy, it's in French, I'm sorry, okay? And then I open the pose splitter. I'm gonna reload my configuration so that I keep the previous files that I had. I didn't ask to reload the previous file. Okay, sorry. I want to reload the batch options, the batch input file list too. Sorry, I hadn't checked this because it comes from other sessions from me. So I say that I want also to reload the batch input file list. So I reload my temp configuration. Okay, so now I have the previous files that I have decided to process. And now I want to add the files coming from the ICO poses. So I go in select files, and here I passed what I had copied previously, okay? And I have this. I select them all. I don't want this one, I unselect it, okay? And you make open, and this adds to the list that you had before. This way you can create bigger and bigger and bigger lists. And there are other ways to load lists, okay? I can, for instance, for now, I can export the current list. So each time the folder you export, you import, and so on is remembered by the interface. I'm gonna call this temp also. Okay, I'm warned that the list has been exported. I can re-import the same way, okay, the list that I just exported or any list. And I can add a folder and all its subfolders. Just take care because it can really take a long time depending on where you start from. I'm gonna start from poses already because it can really take long. Maybe I have to accelerate the video. Okay. No, that's done. That's done. I didn't have that much pauses. Oh, not that much, but I just had 700 files to process now. Okay. In general, I'm surprised because in general it can take much longer. That's what I wanted to choose. So just take care. If you have a lot of subfolders, then it can take a huge amount of time, and you might have the impression that it's frozen, and you will have to stop the studio, to force the studio to stop to get out of this. So take care what folder you begin with. Not a lot of subfolders if you use this option. Okay. Here I can play with the lists. Now that I have, because 700 files is too much. It will be too long for this short presentation. So let's clean a bit these pauses. I'm gonna remove all input files without pause in their path. There won't be probably any, but I won't process it anyway. Okay, and there were no files without /pause in their path. Okay, because I did things properly. What I'm gonna do is that I'm going to sort them alphabetically. So don't worry, there is no synchronization between the two lists, but it doesn't mean that they won't be saved with the right name. This will be saved with the right name. Okay, so I'm gonna keep everything relative to Genesis 8. And I'm going to remove everything relative to Genesis because I work on a Genesis 8 figure. So I go down to my lists, down, it's still Genesis, you see it's written here. And I select them all using the shift key, okay. All the files concerning only Genesis, and I make remove selected input files. Okay, and they are removed, and now I have only Genesis 8 pauses. I have several options for the output files. First, where I am going to place them. So I'm going to browse to another folder, and split pauses, I'm going to go in the batch, and here this time I create a lower because my selection is made for lower. I select a folder, okay, and the output file names is immediately updated, okay. This will look like that. If you want a synchronicity between the two lists, there is no special reason to do this, is you have to include the output path, okay? It requires the content to be mapped, and I click on update, okay? And I organize them by alphabetically, okay? By clicking on output files and input files, and you see the pauses, the list now match together. But in general, I don't like to use the full names because it's long to browse the file. So I use the short names, okay? So I say that I want to use the short names, meaning that I don't want to use the people, Genesis 8, female, pauses, and so on. I just want the file name. That's enough for me. So I update, and now it will be where I have decided that it will be, with only the name. If I want a suffix, if I want to give more information to this name, I can add a suffix, okay? For instance, here it's for a quick video. So I'm gonna call this quick video, and I can update the name. If I think that it's stupid, because it is stupid, I can write lower, for instance, and now you have a lower at the end of the names, okay? And it's built this way. You can either have the full path or the short path, and you can have a suffix or no suffix if you don't want any. Up, you remove, and you click on updates. And once this is done, sorry, the window is huge, you just, I'm gonna say lower, okay, and you can process the files with the current settings. Okay, so now that I'm recording, oh no, one more thing that I wanted to say, because before clicking on process, is that you have additional options, okay? And the top of this area, you can have the smart content information that you save, that you save. So either you set the type only, so it means that your thumb will present the pose or animation, a little stripe at the top of it so that you know what it is. Or you set the type, the category, and the compatibility in the smart content. When you do so and batch a lot of files, after a while, the process becomes slower. But okay, but it's interesting to have it. Another thing that I want to mention is that you can add subcategory. Okay, so you are going to write lower body in the subcategory because here you save only the lower body. This is a way for you to organize the subcategories in the smart contents. You are not forced to write something. Okay, you can just leave it empty and sort this afterwards, or not sort this at all. Okay, and then you can click on batch. The files are going to be processed. It means that the poses are going to be applied one after the other, and only the partial poses will be saved. So you see the first pose is applied, okay, and it is saved, writing assets, okay. The thumb is processed, so it's a bit long because I'm recording the video, sadly. Okay, and the second pose is applied. Oh, I realized that I hadn't fit all the... Oh no, it was fit. Okay, and it's processed one by one. The poses are processed one by one this way. That's how it works. And you know each time where you are. I'm sorry because of the thumb calculation, it's a bit long here. So the third pose is applied and it's saved as a partial pose and the thumb is calculated. What you have to say is that the thumb is calculated, but this can be avoided. But afterwards, if I'm going to cancel this, please cancel. I cancel the process to show you something else. Okay. It had to finish the calculus. And the pose is set back to its original configuration. What I wanted to say, I haven't spoken about this, is that you can reuse the original pose thumb, okay? If you check this, DAZ Studio will calculate the thumb. It's necessary, you don't have the choice about that. And then it will replace it by the thumb used for the original pose, okay, which allow you to have a much nicer thumbs than just the calculated thumb by DAZ Studio. So let's have a look at what we have in batch lower now. So now let's have a look at the poses we created. So they were under split poses, under batch upper. No, that was lower, sorry. Batch lower, I have already played with this before. And as you see, the thumbs have been copied, okay? That's what we wanted. And now these poses will apply only to the lower body. Let's try this. Okay, this is perfectly the case. And this way you can create plenty of new poses from existing ones. So let's have a look at maybe this bottom pose. And upper, I also had created other... Oh, this is weird. This is fun. Let's change some for some other upper poses. Okay, so this one could be cool. Maybe we can use so we have a left arm here. The left arm of this one. Maybe we can set up now only the ends. Why not the end of pose 3 or pose 2? Oh no, I don't like pose 1 once again. And the right hand of pose 3. Yeah, this way you can build your poses by a part. Sorry, part by part. Okay, that's what I wanted to say. The poses you created can be found in the local user product of the smart content if you decided also to save the metadata. Okay, to find it easier, you have to write user here. Otherwise, it can be found under pauses by region partial body. Okay, and this I haven't made the subcategories. I regret it because it could be a better organized. That's why it is interesting to add some suffix, okay, upper body, no post control, for instance, so that you can find them either, or you can add the subcategory when you process them using the script. Thank you a lot for your attention. Yes, one last thing that I wanted to say is that if the bones you want to process, I mean you want really specific bones, do not exist in this choice, you can use specific settings for any figure. And this is the other video that is available, which will show how to do this on a dragon, but you will easily see how to apply this to any figure anyway. Thank you for your attention, and see you in the next video.